Hey guys, so today I'm going to be reacting to other self-improvement channels and giving my takes on what I think they're right about, what I think they're wrong about. I don't want to waste anyone's time, so let's just get straight into this.
Are you happy? Do you enjoy the things that you do in life? Do you find life satisfying? You see, 90% of people don't. Or they used to. That young kid version of yourself who used to enjoy going out on bike rides, who used to enjoy reading, who used to enjoy spending time in nature. But you don't enjoy it anymore. No matter how hard you try and get back into those things, you simply just don't enjoy it. You're not happy. But there's a reason why, and that is because our young self, our child version of ourselves, actually knew what happiness was. Whereas you, right now, most of the people nowadays, when they grow up, they have no idea what happiness actually is.
I wouldn't necessarily say it's because our childhood, selves knew what happiness was. It's just we were a lot more simple back then. It was, we would wake up, eat, go to school, go play with our friends, go to sleep, and that was just a continuous cycle. But as you get older, of course, you have more of a conscience. You're more aware of the things around you. You're trying to discover what your identity is, what your goals are. There's all these different types of things. So, yes, I would say in a way when you're a kid, you're a lot happier, but I wouldn't say it's because you knew what happiness was back then. It's just because we were a lot more simple. We don't really have this branching network in our minds of stuff we actually want.
First of all, how are you? I hope things have been good and I hope you've been alright. A lot of us get happiness wrong. We think that happiness is this formula: work hard equals success equals happiness. If I work really hard at cycling this bike or going to the gym or going into nature, if I work really hard to try and be happy again and enjoy the things I used to, and when I get success, I'll then be happy. But that's not actually true. The formula to happiness is actually happiness plus a positive mindset equals success. And the reason for this is because waiting for
Okay, I would agree with that correctly. Hard work, a little bit of luck, and just overall putting as much as you can to something equals success. It doesn't necessarily equal happiness. There are people who own billion-dollar companies that could probably be miserable right now. And there are also people who do nothing but work out in the garage and eat fruits and vegetables all day, and they work a 60K job, and that's okay for them. They don't need to be a millionaire. That's what makes them happy. It simply is finding the things that bring you joy overall, as long as they're healthy, and for the most part, just living your life according to that way.
For happiness to come around actually limits us. If we're waiting for the idea that happiness will eventually come to us, if we're working hard.
Side note, by the way, I actually like the way this guy talks. He has a very soothing and calming voice. It is a very much differential road from where a lot of other self-improvement YouTubers are shouting at the camera and shit like that. So overall, I like the way this guy just in general carries himself, the voice and everything like that.
Hard, it won't. We're constantly waiting for something that is in the near future. Whereas a positive mindset now, so you're cultivating a positive mindset now, will actually make you more happy, more motivated, almost as if you're faking it until you make it. I read the book, known as The Happiness Advantage.
Real quick, I really hate that phrase, fake it till you make it. My simple answer to that is just be it, but that's just my personal opinion.
And it basically goes over 5 key ideas to find happiness and enjoyment in the things that you used to do. But it doesn't just stop there, it works for everything. And I've personally gone through it and I've experienced this, and I 100% agree with the book. And I really do recommend giving it a read. The first one, that is, happiness is not a mood. It's a work ethic. Every time I sat down sort of waiting for happiness to happen, as if it was going to come to me, it never happened. However, when I started doing things with a positive mindset, even if I wasn't positive, I just forced myself to have a positive mindset, more like a work ethic, I actually ended up becoming more happy. The formula to happiness isn't work hard, success equals happiness. It's Happiness plus a positive mindset equals success.
I 100% agree with that. I think a lot of people just hope that one day they're going to start feeling more joyous. But the main thing is just take joy and a positive mindset into the things that you're already doing. You know, I mean, I'm not saying if you're doing drugs or something, you know, just do that with a positive mindset and you'll be happy. But overall, like, yeah, no, I agree. Like, having that positive mindset is definitely something that a lot more people need to, you know, adopt. And I think with social media and everything and this sense of FOMO and, you know, feeling like when you're 20 years old, you're going through a midlife crisis, that can definitely halt some people. But yeah, I agree with this guy. His name's Wylder. I mean, go check him out. Okay, next video we're gonna be watching is a guy named Alexis, I'm sorry if I pronounced this wrong, Nussbaum. What should you focus on in your self-improvement journey?
Did you know that out of all the people that start doing self-improvement, only a small fraction of those guys actually are able to make significant progress? Let me tell you a quick story. I know a guy that started doing self-improvement a few years ago, and when I look at him today, I'm like, okay, yeah, he improved a bit, but he could be so much further in life if he just focused on one thing at a time that he wanted to improve and maintain the other at the other levels. Would you know something crazy? This guy is me. But ever since I realized that when you...
I get the point this guy's trying to make. I think a lot of people, it's kind of like stats in a video game. You know, if you try to do a million side quests at once, it's really just going to limit you and you're going to be all over the place. But in general, yeah, you know, especially if you're a starter in self-improvement, this could definitely be, you know, great advice. You know, start with one thing at a time.
Focus and pick one topic, one subject where you want to be really good at while maintaining the others at a personal good level. You can really improve to something that's way better than you could have expected by doing all the things at the same time. So the very first rule that you should have when doing self-improvement is don't do everything at the same time. Now that this is out of the way, let's go into how you can actually choose the thing that you want to improve at. And this video is going to be very practical, so please take a journal, a piece of paper, something to write on so that you can follow along with the steps that I'm going to give you. And by the end of this video, you should be able to actually choose the one thing you should absolutely work on right now. The first actionable step for you right now will be to write down the 4 pillars of self-improvement in 4 columns, 4 different columns. If you haven't seen my latest video about the 4 pillars of self-improvement, let me quickly explain to you how that works. So there are 4 main things that we can focus on that, I mean, categories where everything can fit on. If you believe your financial situation really sucks at the moment, under financial success, right, make more money or build a business or whatever you feel is the urgent need. But this has to be something that you feel in your guts has to be done.
Yeah, 100%. I think really for a lot of people, they just see self-improvement of just, let me just try to accomplish everything super quickly. In a year, I'm gonna have the most amazing life ever. I don't really think that works for most people, unless you just have an iron mindset, which if you're trying to get on self-improvement, you probably don't have. It's probably something you need to develop. Yeah, I would agree. Find something that you can accomplish that is the most urgent in that point. And eventually, but surely, start focusing on other areas that are urgent but not as urgent, and slowly but surely you can see yourself accomplishing your goals. Okay, I'm gonna start speeding it up a little bit just so that way we can get more of the video done, but hopefully y'all don't hate that, but I'm still gonna be commenting on everything. It's just gonna be at like 1.5 speed. And by the way, this video is by a guy named Chazz. Delayed gratification is your key to happiness.
Let me tell you a story. So it's about 2 months ago, and I'm sitting in my living room watching some UFC with some of my friends. I think we were watching the Sugar Sean fight. One of my favorite fighters. Great fucking time, right? And I'm with guys I love spending time with. But I can just recall this feeling of boredom and emptiness, and honestly, like something was missing in a time where I feel like I should have been feeling abundance. It was almost like I needed something more stimulating than 2 dudes beating the shit out of each other in a fucking octagon. So let's fast forward to yesterday, actually. I went to go play golf in the afternoon with a couple of my friends. Now, I fucking suck, but it's one of the sports that I enjoy getting out and doing from time to time. And quite literally, I don't think I've had that much fun in such a long time. It maybe felt like the greatest thing a man can experience. No phones, no social media, no nothing, just a few friends going out, fucking around, and just doing what we enjoy. Now, despite these stories being very similar, you know, going out, doing something you love to do with a few friends, right? Very similar at face value, but there's one glaring difference between the two. In the first one, now I looked to before that story, I looked to before those feelings of emptiness, of boredom, and I think to what I did before they came over, and it was jack shit. I think I sat on my bed and scrolled for maybe 1, 2, probably fucking 3 hours the way out.
Every single person who's gone on self-improvement, I guarantee you, has had this exact same backstory of just looking around your life and just not being happy with it whatsoever.
I was then. And the second one, yesterday, I had a great productive day where I really got shit done. I started about 8, 9 a.m., went to the gym, and then the rest of the day until we played at about 3:30, I was working on my videos. And while I love making these videos, it's a great time for me. It did require a little bit of discipline. And I'm telling you this because I want to contrast the difference between being that brain-rotted scroller kid compared to who I was yesterday, that guy who got shit done, that guy that had productive, healthy habits, how that affected the rest of my day and the time outside of those habits. In a short period of time, I went from being the guy who didn't enjoy hanging out with his friends because it wasn't enough stimulation to the guy who I feel like can be content with almost nothing, or at least is enjoying the pleasures of life and the fruits of life a lot more. I want to show you how you can achieve this mindset and how delaying gratification is literally a fucking drug. Part 1. What is the correct pleasure to seek? Well, if you didn't listen to anything I just said or made any conclusions yourself because you have fucking lizard brain from watching Charlie D'Amelio TikToks all day, here's what you need to know. Avoid the easy shit in your life, which is probably fucking scrolling. That's probably the #1 detrimental habit. And embrace the harder stuff because you know it's benefiting your future. Not even saying the future fucking 10 years down the road, but the future a couple hours later. This is the framework that changed.
100%. I think a lot of people don't even take into account of the future that can be tomorrow or the next week. Everybody always says you gotta live in the moment, and while that does make sense for some, parts of life, I don't really think that just playing it day by day and then just hoping 10 years down the later you're a millionaire with a hot wife and a big house and a cool car is really a great way to live. I think most people who I've watched would agree with that.
My perspective on instant gratification. Every single time you do something that you know is a cheap, easy dopamine hit, you are making the rest of the day worse. And that thing you have planned for that afternoon, maybe a couple hours later, is all of a sudden a lessened experience. So for me, it might be
100%. I always noticed that when I was trying to do something big, or I had to make an appointment, or I had to go and do something that was going to require a lot of brain power, if I did something before that was very dopamine driven, and that was basically giving me this immediate sense of pleasure, I immediately was a lot more lazy when I was doing that thing. It doesn't matter if it was hanging out with friends, if I needed to go to work, if I needed to go to class, if I was even hitting the gym, there was just less intensity in it. So I agree.
Be watching a sport, hanging out with my friends and all that. If I choose to go scroll like a fucking dumbass 2-3 hours before that, I'm lessening that experience rather than if I had a video to work on, I had some homework or whatever, I knew I needed to go to the gym, I would be experiencing so much more bliss when I'm doing that activity that isn't, associated to self-improvement, associated to your work, your business, whatever. I will be enjoying that so much more. Quick example
That's true. I think a lot of people don't realize when you're on self-improvement, not every single fucking activity you do has to be directly correlated to self-improvement. That doesn't mean that you need to have no self-improvement activities, but at the same time, you just realize that even the simple things like playing basketball with your friends, that's not a self-improvement activity, but you take a lot more joy into it because you're a lot more in that moment and you're actually having fun instead of just thinking, I wish I could be getting pizza right now. What am I going to watch later on Netflix?
Encapsulates this perfectly. So yesterday I had another pretty good day. I had a lot of work to do, but also at night I was planning on watching the Dallas Mavericks, my basketball team, play their playoff game. And, that's not an activity that's really work or anything. That's just kind of a hobby, you might say. And like I said, I've been looking forward to that all day. The game was at 8:30 p.m. and I was like, fuck yeah, I'm gonna go get all my shit done. I'm gonna make a couple of videos. I'm gonna go to the gym, eat clean, whatever, so I can really enjoy this game. And honestly, I did do that for a pretty long time, but it gets to about 7:38 and I scrolled for about 30 minutes. Now during that game, I still did enjoy it. It was a great time because, the other 8-9 hours of the day I spent pretty productively, right? But during that game, I really enjoyed it because obviously I spent the 8-9 hours of my day doing good shit. But there was just this little bit of fog there, and there was a little bit more of this experience I could have enjoyed if I didn't indulge in that. If I say there was a little bit more out of that experience I could have taken, I could have extracted, but I let that go to waste by sitting on fucking Instagram.
I love the way he says that. There was a little bit more that I could have had, but it went to waste. I think what he's talking about here is mindfulness, just staying in the moment. I think with our constant, all of us are constantly moving from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next. None of us are really ever able to be in that moment. When you're able to do productive stuff and you have a clear mind and there's no fog, it's very different to just be in that moment in and of itself. It's very warming and it's very rewarding even because you actually feel like you're not looking towards the future. You're not thinking about anything in the past. You're just here existing. I like very much the way he's talking about it, but we have one more video to watch. Now, sadly, when I was trying to look up self-improvement videos, these are the type of videos that would always pull up. If I wanted to learn something about making productive routines or trying to better myself for the future, I didn't really find a lot of this. It was really videos like this. Watching self-improvement will ruin your life. Why you need to stop watching self-improvement videos. Why self-improvement videos suck and all that type of stuff. And so I may do a part 2 to this video of trying to view all these different types of videos and see, okay, are they just saying to overindulge in self-improvement, or are they saying self-improvement's just horribly bad for you? But I'm gonna give a look at this video. I'm gonna give it a fair shakedown. Maybe he's gonna say some things that I already agree with and say some stuff that I disagree with. It just depends.
So if you've probably read the title by now, you're probably wondering, what do I mean by when I say self-improvement is cringe or it's ruining your life? And it all starts from the film Fight Club. So I'm gonna show you this scene right here.
I felt sorry for guys packed into gyms trying to look like Al Capone.
I swear to God, every single time I see a video that's talking about how self-improvement is bad, it's always going to play this one scene from Fight Club, without fail. It's like the freaking mantra.
Tommy Hilfiger said they should. That what a man looks like?
Self-improvement is masturbation, not self-destruction.
Self-improvement is nothing but a feel-good factor in the moment, and it's not actually improving your life. It's something that you think that you're actually moving forward in life, but you actually aren't. Self-improvement is a coping mechanism and isn't actually helping you in your life. It's a cover-up for the deeper problems and the deeper holes in your life that you actually need to fix. I'll give you an example.
Here's what I don't get. If you're self-improving, wouldn't self-improvement include fixing the holes in your life? I do agree, some people do use self-improvement as a coping mechanism and think that just because I'm going to the gym and I'm eating healthy, automatically I've solved all the problems in my life. I mean, yeah, I see what you're saying here, but at the same time, I would say that wouldn't part of like fixing the holes in your life and maybe fixing the flaws in your character be part of self-improvement?
One of the biggest pillars of self-improvement is monk mode, right? I have to say, bro, monk mode is the cringiest thing I think I've ever seen young men doing, because you're sitting indoors all day, every single day for a long time, for months and months and months on end, and you think that you're grinding and you think that you're working hard, but all it's really doing is just turning you into a nerd, a loser. It's turning you into a weird person. And I've learned this in my life as well. I went on monk mode for a good few months, and whenever I went out into the world again, it actually made me worse. It made me very weird to talk to, because I was talking about these things like monk mode and looks maxing and all this here sort of crap. And like whenever you talk to people who like don't go on the internet all day, who aren't chronic.
Okay, so I kind of agree with this. I mean, I've always just seen monk mode as just focusing really hard on work, then that's really all I've seen it as. And, you know, just in general, just, you know, implementing self-improvement habits. But yeah, if you're the type that treat monk mode as, and this is something I agree with, a lot of people in the self-improvement space I see use monk mode as a justification to be inside all day. Being inside all day, watching a bunch of Hamza videos, and then like doing a little bit of schoolwork, that's not monk mode. All you're really doing is you're fake improving, because you're doing a bunch of stuff that you think is making you better, but in reality, you're just wasting more time. It just feels like you're not, because technically speaking, Hamza videos or Cole Hastings videos or Chris Williamson videos aren't brain rot. But if you're spending all day watching them, you're not really improving anything.
The internet all day, who aren't chronically online, they look at you so weird. Like, they just don't understand a word you're saying, and they just think that you're some sort of strange person.
Yeah, I agree with that too. You shouldn't, like, I think for me, when I've ever talked about looks maxing, it's always been a joke, like mewing and all that. I've never done it like unironically. I think it's like funny to talk about, because it is kind of funny to talk about like people that do nothing but freaking mew all day. Like, it's kind of a meme. Going out and talking to people about like meditation is fine, but when you start using like a self-improvement jargon, like, yeah, I do understand how it can be seen as cringe. It's something that people need to find to themselves instead of having it shoved down their throats.
Do you think that you're, you know what I mean, and you think that you're actually improving yourself and that you're actually moving forward, and in reality it's just making you worse. All it really is, it's a load of influencers, right, who like to masturbate their minds pretty much, and they like to talk and big themselves up and say things like, oh, I went on monk mode and I was in the shadows and I was lurking away and I was working hard. But in reality, bro, like,
this Sigma mindset, I will agree to, it is incredibly cringe. Don't be like, oh, I'm the secret Sigma who's, you know, I'm Batman and I'm in the shadows and I'm working hard and I made $1 billion within my first year. Like, I agree.
Like, once you actually do that, it doesn't nowhere, you do not get the results that these people tell you that you're going to get. And a lot of us end up going down dark paths, like buying courses and buying these communities of these people. And
buying courses is inherently wrong. I mean, people do it in college all the time, but I think it is when like you see there's a person who blatantly doesn't know what they're talking about, you shouldn't be buying their course. I mean, I'm very 50-50 on this. I'm not opposed to buying courses in general. I think there is a little bit of a stigma behind it, where if a person's selling a course, it's automatically bad. I think if in general the person like seems like they know what they're actually talking about and they do practice what they preach, there's nothing wrong with buying a course. I'm not saying you should go broke buying all these different people's courses, and I'm not even advertising one in this video, so don't think that's where I'm going with it.
The information they actually teach doesn't actually improve your life at all. You know, meditation, gratitude journaling, all that there sort of stuff. If you're on self-improvement and you're doing that, it's not improving your life. It's so cringe, man. And I'm not saying meditation and gratitude journaling and things like that there aren't actually good for you, because they are. But my point is the reason for doing them. It's just because you think that whenever you're meditating and in the moment you think that you're improving your life, when in reality you still suck with girls. You can't make eye contact.
Okay, I don't know. I mean, I know he's just saying, but it just seems like he's just saying like, you know, self-improvement in and of itself is just cringe. Again, it's all about effort, you know? So if you just meditate and then you think everything in your life is just gonna skyrocket, I mean, of course that's foolish. Of course that's dumb. You know, you have to put effort into all these different things. I think what he's talking about here is people who cope with self-improvement, who think by just going to the gym and eating healthy and by meditating, you've automatically fixed everything in your life. I think it's very, very simple to, you know, get that conflated and to get that, you know, part of your mind screwed up to think that, oh, just because I did this one or two things, my life is automatically fixed. I do see the audience he's speaking to. I just don't like the way that he's putting it, in the sense of once you start self-improvement, like if self-improvement in and of itself is terrible for you. I think it's just having that level of self-awareness and putting effort into the right places and being aware that like you are always going to be self-improving. So you should be trying to self-improve, not everything all at once, but in many areas of your life.
You can't make eye contact with people. You still have a poor relationship with your mom and dad. And these things aren't things that you're actually fixing. You're also broke, you don't have a job, or you're working a job that you don't like. And these are problems, core fundamental problems that you're not fixing in your life. But instead you go off and you look smacks and you mew. Like, oh my God, mewing, man, is the most cringiest thing.
People who unironically talk about mewing, I do find cringe, so I will agree with that.
Gratitude journal and you meditate. Because you think that by doing that, that will turn you into, you know, top 1% alpha male. This is the reason why we're all so lost, you know, in this social media generation. Because we're all so desperate to just find a masculine influence in our life. So we latch onto anyone and anything who tells us what we want to hear, not what we need to hear. You know, you look at people like the Andrew Tates and the Hamzas of the world who, you know, these were the people in our lives who give us that helping hand whenever the world rejected us, whenever the world told us that we were worthless. Hamza and Andrew Tate and all these other self-improvement influencers, you know, they extended their hand for.
I feel like what this guy's not really understanding, and I do see where he's coming from, is these videos that you watch are just supposed to be the little kick in like the ass that you need in order to get stuff done. They're by no means like a way to supplement all the hard work. Let me give you an example, okay? If you start working out and you want to have an aesthetic body, you should buy some creatine. You know, it's great for your muscles, it's great for all that stuff. But here's the thing, it's a little tiny boost. It's a tiny boost on top of all the other work that you have to put in. Just by getting your creatine doesn't mean you automatically get a ripped six pack. You have to put in all this work. And I feel like with self-improvement videos, it's the exact same thing. This is what the self-improvement videos are doing. You have to still put in all this other work into figuring out all this stuff, other different type of stuff, whether that's fixing your flaws, you know, actually finding a job or a career that's actually exciting to you, you know, not being so dopamine driven. Again, I see where he's coming from, and to a sense, I do agree that there is a part of the self-improvement community that is like this, but to kind of like diminish all of self-improvement all in all, just because there is a portion of people that is coping with it, I think is just not correct. I don't know, maybe I'm a little bit wrong. I'll watch a little bit more of the video.
And give us a helping hand through life. But there comes a point where you have to stop listening to these people, and you have to stop listening to all that crap and actually genuinely improve. So how do you do that? Well,
100%. At a certain point, you need to stop watching self-improvement videos and actually just start improving yourself in general. I like watching Hamza videos because they are just entertaining, and if, you know, I'm bored and I have some time to kill, I'll just throw them on to watch. But I never ever watch them nowadays for the purpose of to like supplement actual self-improvement activity. I don't ever just sit in my room all day and just watch Hamza videos and think, oh, by doing this, automatically I've already, you know, I'm gonna be a millionaire by tomorrow because I did all that. No, there's still effort that needs to be put forward. So while I do disagree with a little bit of what this guy has to say, I do agree that if you're using self-improvement as a coping mechanism to just stay in your room all day and just watch tons of YouTube, then you are doing it wrong, and yes, it will ruin your life. But the thing that I would say is use this as just your creatine, essentially. Watch a self-improvement video and then take actionable steps to make your life better, instead of just going on looks maxing. And you hear the same advice for looks maxing every single time, but instead of doing that, just actually take the effort that you would be spending into watching a video for self-improvement and put that into an actual self-improvement activity. Okay guys, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to scroll down right now, make sure to leave a like, make sure to subscribe, make sure to comment, and I'll see y'all shortly. Stay safe, stay smart, and start taking accountability today. Peace.